Okay, so happy new year everyone. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a reading for the month of January. Same old spiel. I'm probably going to break this down on 3 individual piles. These are just the cards that I am using. However, you can pick by the crystals. So I'm just going to move these off to the side. So we have quartz here. We have the quartz, rose quartz. We have the lapislazuli. And then we also have the obsidian here. So you can pick a pile based off the crystals. I know the obsidian is probably being lost on the table here. I will give you a second to choose via crystal, rose quartz, lapis lazuli, and obsidian. And then I'm going to get right into it. And now we are back, and I have clearly broken these down. Just got one card from each deck on what the problem will be for the month of January, what the solution shall be for the month of January, and then what is the overall theme for the month of January. So I think we probably should do the theme first. Let's scoot this down. Theme, problem, how to solve it. Theme, problem, how to solve it. Okay, so here is the one for the overall theme for the month of January. So we're starting out with the star in reverse. Oh, and then death. And then you have rest. Okay. And then for the problem for the month of January, you have the 10 of Cups, you have the Queen of Swords, and then you have create. How to solve the problem you'll be facing for the month of January, you have the 3 of Cups, you have strength, and then you have peace. Yeah, there seems to be some upheaval. It makes me think for the overall theme that you will be dealing with for the month of January, it's probably something that deals with dreams not being realized, hopelessness, depression because of the star in reverse. And then you also have death here in the upright, which makes me think that it may be some kind of mental factor. Not to mention the rest card does have this symbol here on the bear's head, as if you will be confronting some issues on the mental front, and probably nothing really physically. I don't think it's like a physical death or someone close to you kind of death, or you know, some kind of, well, I guess you could say it's still bad health because you aren't exercising some kind of restraint or strength or determination in getting through it. You are literally being succumbed or taken over by this mental jail that you have kind of put yourself in, and I think that is what your overall theme is dealing with. That, and to me it seems like it's really something heavy, like it could be like something like bipolar depression or something like schizophrenia or something like that. It seems like it's something just almost, you know, something that could be hereditary, but something that you probably have been dealing with and struggling with for a very, very long time. And you're starting probably to get tired of it. It's probably gotten in the way of some plans, like something probably during the New Year's that was like the straw that broke this camel's back for you. So that seems to be the overall theme that you're dealing with. As for the problem that you're going to be dealing with, when I see the spider, when I see create, it makes me think of writing. When I think of the spider, I think of the story Anansi, the spider, the storyteller, the weaver, the weaver of fortune of fate. So to me, it makes it seem like the issue that you're facing with your mental health is something you definitely can help do something about. But I think for whatever reason, there's a certain prominent figure maybe in your life, because I see this 10 of Cups here in reverse, and then you have the Queen of Swords. So it makes me think it's somebody very, very close to you, mother figure, grandmother, aunt. It doesn't have to be a woman, but it's just, you know, when I see Queen of Swords, it just makes me think feminine energy. But it's definitely someone who thinks they can think their way out of everything, that you can think your way or be analytical or critical, criticize your way out of every problem that you have. It kind of gives me like Virgo energy almost. You know, Virgos love to critique other people and tell them how they can do something better, but then oftentimes when you tell them, they do not like that. They go into hermit mode, they withdraw, or, you know, they'll say something that it could be truthful about you, but they say it in a very hurtful way, and they say it to you as a get back instead of just, you know, instead of something to actually help you get through it. So it makes me think there's probably some personal figure, familial figure, somebody really close to you that their opinion matters a lot to you, and it's kind of halting or stopping you from bridging the gap of seeking the help that you need. So yeah, that's kind of what that makes me think of there. And the solution here, yeah, peace is definitely understandable, because you're going through a lot of like mental unrest. You're not feeling rested, you're not feeling at peace, you're not feeling probably not even feeling in your right mind. You're not feeling comfortable within yourself and your body right now. It kind of makes me think. And I noticed that all of these kind of have circles in them as well. So it may be something that's cyclical. It could be something that is genetic. And maybe this person that is close to you has battled or dealt with this before, and it has colored their experience of how they see people with mental illness, or your particular mental illness that you're dealing with. Yeah. That's kind of like what I'm getting here. And then the Three of Cups, maybe some... So Three of Cups, usually when I think of Three of Cups, I think of like Three's Company, or, you know, what is it? Two is something and three is a party or something like that, or it's too many people in this particular group or in a relationship. It makes me think of overcrowding. But in this case, because it's in the reverse, it makes me think that maybe there's some pulling away that you need to do, which makes me think, going back to this person, there's some pulling away you need to do from this person, because it is not being great for your mental health. And I think it's hard. So again, this is why it makes me think it's somebody very close to you, someone whose presence, their words are like the weight of their words weigh so heavily with you. Their actions, the way they think of you, the way they see you, it matters immensely to you. This is somebody you look up to, you idolize or whatnot, and they don't see you in the same light. I would just say it's a mental diagnosis. I think that you probably don't either. I feel like it's one or two things. You either don't have it diagnosed yet, and once you do, you'll be able to go forward and change some things. You'll start knowing why you do certain things, or why you respond a certain way, why you act a certain way on certain things. Or it could be a thing of you're already diagnosed with this. You know that there's that family history there, that you already have this issue, and now you are not like going to your doctor like you should. You aren't taking your medicine like you should. You aren't going to sleep like you should. You aren't eating healthy like you should. You are steady involving yourself around people, places, things, whatever that may trigger you. Or you know that it's triggering. Maybe you are dabbling in behavior like because that can also mean things like addiction. You're dabbling in things like, it could be something like you're addicted to social media and you know that's a trigger for you, and you keep going back on social media and getting triggered and wondering why you're spiraling or having this manic moment of like manic depressive or what do you call it when you're up, or manic hyper activity going on in your life. So I'm not a therapist or a psychologist or anything like that, so if I'm using the wrong terminology, forgive me, but that's just kind of like, from my understanding, this kind of like seems like the thing. But again, this is for entertainment purposes only. If there is really something, I think you should actually speak to someone who is a licensed physician who can better help you with this and narrow down what it is and why you are triggering, why you keep constantly re-triggering yourself or getting back into those positions and things like that. But again, like I said, I'm gonna go into, I think it's really a person though. I think it's really a person. We're gonna look more into, why is this death card here? Why is this death card here? Oh, this one. Yep, something in moderation. So yeah, there's some kind of addiction going on here. There's some overconsumption of something and not what they call it. There's no moderation here. That's what this seems like to me. Let's see, what was the underlying energy for you? The Princess of Wands. Yes, fiery personality. Usually most people look at fire signs as being like, I would say fire and earth signs really, and not to do a stereotype and say all fire signs or all earth signs are like this, because as you know, addictions are anyone could be predisposed to them no matter what their sign is. But typically a lot of people associate addiction with fire, or fire signs, and people who have, you know, like that fiery personality. Let's see what the underlying energy here is here. Three of Wands. And in this one, particularly in the Tarot of the Divine, I don't know the exact name and story of this one, the Three of Wands, but it speaks to a girl who sacrifices like her pinky finger in order to climb the bones of her enemies in order to get to safety, I think it is. I don't know the exact story, but I know she definitely like sacrificed her finger and she's climbing on the bones of her enemies. I know, kind of dark, but this addiction, mental abuse, or because it could be mental abuse, that's why you have this person here. It could speak to that, of kind of like moderation, of separation, of knowing when to fight or flight, of knowing when to talk, when to be quiet, or when to talk or when to listen. Communication and comprehension, you know, even though they're on the same scale, one cannot go without the other. So yeah, this is just giving me kind of like temperance. It's definitely giving some balance is needed. We get more information. So we get more information on who this King of Swords is for those who pick the RoseQuartz pile. And there's a couple things we got here. 1 second. So I had a couple cards fall on the ground. So the first one was Four of Wands. Is this somebody you're in a relationship with? Because there's also the Nine of Cups, the Seven of Cups, choosing to stay or to leave, the Five of Cups. Yeah, okay, going back, this definitely has to be somebody you're really close to. Yeah, you have the Nine of Cups. The story with this one is that the man decided to risk taboo acts as dressing as a woman in order to be with the woman he loves, in order to get her to trust him. This is, you know, Aladdin. Pick a lamp. One could be detrimental. Then you have the Four of Wands. That usually always speaks to somebody that's you're in partnership with. And and it could, but to me, I always read the Four of Wands as kind of like a relationship card as well. It could be friend, family, significant other. It doesn't matter. And then you have the Five of Cups, mourning something that's lost. And then you have the Hierophant. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking this is somebody you are married to. You got the Hierophant here. Speaks to, excuse me, it speaks to marriage, matrimony, some kind of religious aspect as well. So, or it could be someone who has a very strong religious background that is not allowing you to flourish, or like, oh, you know, it's like a typical thing I hear within the, or I would say with most people who are like die hard in their religion, they'll be like, pray it away, it'll be fine. Or, you know, you have to believe in God first in order for you to be healed and things like that. So this could be somebody, this is somebody very close to you that you are in close proximity to, that you have a close relationship. Again, somebody you revere, somebody you look up to, somebody who has been like the everything. You look to them as kind of like your guiding light. But maybe they have a religious lens that is coloring a lot of how they see you and how they think you should go about doing things, and it's not really helping you. And then again, you have the Empress, and in this case, usually the Empress do speak to, it could be someone who is your mother, or someone who you know, or someone who is like the feminine motherly energy in your life, or someone who is pregnant. But in this case, in the Tarot Divine, it speaks to kind of like Mary, Jesus' mom. And with this being in reverse and you have the Hierophant, it seems like they're using their religious beliefs against you, and it's causing more harm than good. Essentially, they're holding too tight to it, especially, and also with this Empress coming up in reverse, a certain thing, maybe it isn't a mother, maybe it's somebody like a sister or a grandmother. I don't think it's somebody that's that close to you. I think it's probably like a grandmother, a sister, somebody who's kind of like a second, most people would deem as of second importance. It's not your mom. Maybe it's someone you see as your mom. It could be a co-worker at your job even, who you see as a mom, who has played a motherly figure in your life. Or, you know, it could be your religious leader's wife that you look up to, that you have gone to, that you have confided in. And again, they are just kind of like lording that over you. And the underlying energy, Two of Cups, it speaks to, at the Two of Cups underlying that, it speaks to a lot of, this is a very close relationship. This is a very tight-knit relationship. It's not something to easily remove yourself of, which is why this Three of Cups is here. You're not going to know peace or find a way to deal with this until you stand up on your own 2 feet. What is the first course of action? Yeah. What is the first course of action the RoseQuartz pile need to take in order to free themselves of this issue? What is the first course of action the RoseQuartz pile need to take in order to free themselves of this bondage? What is the first course of action? Oh, what's the first course of action? The RoseQuartz. Okay, 1 second, it flew off to the side. And again, this goes back to family. Here's a story that I have. The story that I am telling myself and my Brene Brown. This makes me think that you have alienated yourself from the actual network, group, village, or family that you actually have, your actual blood-related family, in favor of this queen, whoever this Queen of Swords is to you. Again, I don't know if it's your religious leader's wife. I don't know if it's just some co-worker at your job who has been a motherly figure. It could be an adoptive parent or pseudo-parent. I'm not sure. But it makes me think that you turned your back on those people in favor of this person. And now that you're dealing with this, the people who are really here to help you, you have yet to create that true network of people who's going to help uplift you, or that you have alienated them because you thought they were going to judge you in some type of way. But now the judgment that you thought you were going to get from them, you're getting from this Queen of Swords. And now you have to go back and build that bridge, so you can have that network. You have more than just this one person to go to. Fortunately, unfortunately, that's kind of like what I'm getting. That's what I gather. Let's see here. Energy. Yes, this takes a lot of energy. That was your underlying card here. Energy. It takes a lot of energy to get there. I also think there's a deep mother wound here, because you have the Queen of Cups. When I see the Queen of Cups, that always reads to me as someone very caring, someone who is very patient, someone who is overly emotional. It reads motherly energy, especially when you have, oh my God, I forgot her name. It's not Yemoja, is it? I know it's something from like, I think it's the Haitian tale of a mermaid woman. I'm blanking on her name, but I'll put it in there. I'll, put it across the screen so you all can see. But it just reads very motherly, very protective. But also kind of like, be careful what you wish for. Because I don't know how many people know the story behind the, it's not Yemoja. And I'm mad I'm blanking on her name. But wouldn't it be funny if it is Yemoja? But she pretty much went to the clan's, I would say the tribeman leader's wife when she was pregnant. Or I should say the other way, the female leader of the tribe went to her in order to ask for protection for her kid, and in exchange she asked that you give your son over to me once he's born. And of course the tribe leader's wife denied her that, and she started making them kind of like hallucinate that they were getting fish when they were really just eating their children. It gets dark. And so to me, this also could speak to a duality, as well as kind of like a hidden nature that you don't see. This person may be acting as if they're working or talking and doing things they're doing things with you in mind, with your best, having your best at heart, but they're not. And yeah. And I think it's going to take, whoever this person is, whatever this hold is, I think it's going to take a lot of energy for you to get out of that spiral, out of that spin, out of the hold that they have on you. Because, and I'm not going to completely shit on this person. This person could have been what you needed at a certain time in your life, but now you don't because you're going through this. Or at least you need to start putting up boundaries of like, okay, when it comes to my mental health, when it comes to my mental anxiety, my mental illness, I no longer need you conversating on that. Maybe just be aware of kind of like, if you see me doing this, or if you see me picking with my nails, or you haven't heard from me in like a month, yeah, maybe come and check on me. That's all I want you to do. You don't have to comment anything else. We don't have to do anything else. We can, for your sake and for my sake, we can pretend like it doesn't exist. But when I'm with other people, I can divulge all of that to them. I know I can truly confide in them. I know I can trust them to actually take care of me in all of my forms, sickness or in health. So, you know what? And I gotta pull one more deck. Hold on. Okay, so I'm pulling the body tarot because obviously this is something dealing with mental health. I wonder if I'm going to get the brain card out of here. What is the physical ailments that the RoseQuartz are dealing with the chamber? What is the physical ailment that the RoseQuartz are dealing with in the month of January? What is the physical ailment And I say physical because your brain is very much a physical thing. As much as we do not like to consider it as such, it very much is. And we should, yeah, notice I have my upside down. And it takes, you know, we have to constantly practice and work that out as much as we do our physical body. So yes, I say physical health, and that's where I'm coming from. What physical element is the RoseQuartz pile in the month of January? What is the physical element of the RoseQuartz pile still in the month of January? Okay, so oddly enough, we got the Four of Earth, greed. I want to say this is your pancreas in your stomach. And yes, a lot of how we eat, we call, you know, our first brain. It does deal with a lot of like what we eat is very important to how we feel, and it affects us overall. Oh, that one's fine. Okay, let's see here. 10 of Metal, charmed. Okay, you're still getting a lot of like familiar cards, charmed. And with the greed. And this also deals with your, I don't know if it's the small or long or big intestines and your lungs. So yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of anxiety and pressure going on here that's contributing to a lot. So it's not actually telling me that it is your brain. Let's see if I get one more card. One more card with the physical ailment. The RoseQuartz pile is dealing with for the month of January. What is the physical ailment? The RoseQuartz pile is dealing with for the month of January. What is the physical ailment? I feel like there was a couple cards trying to come out there. What is the physical ailment? Okay, so funny thing, I thought I hit record on the camera, but I didn't. And so now I have to go back and so this is going to be shorter than expected because I thought I hit record and I didn't. My apologies, RoseQuartz file. But so where I left off with you all, and I'm going to take this back. I'm going to walk you back through the madness that I had to go through in order to get here. Okay. So I'm going to do the first file first. So you remember I was saying that where I left off was that I felt like you were dealing with some kind of mental illness or some kind of manic moment in your life right now, or some kind of addiction maybe. And I think it stems from this person who is the Queen of Swords, or someone who's very close to you. I'm really feeling that it's either somebody of a religious importance to you or somebody that you are in a romantic or sexual relationship with, and I'll get to why. But in the meantime, I wanted to know why the Death card was here, and I got Temperance. So this made me think, oh, this has to deal with more something along the lines of moderation is key, you know, or, you know, kind of like one thing has to go in order for you to bring something, invite something new into your life, whatever that may be. You need to find your inner peace. Temperance can also deal with religion as well. So this makes me think like maybe you have an unhealthy addiction to religion. You are using it to shape your entire life. You are using it to heal your mental disorder or mental illness, and you think that's going to be the way. And it's just certain illnesses that you cannot pray away. They stick around. And so then I wanted to get more information on what the health issue was. And so of course I got greed, which deals, I want to say it deals with your stomach and pancreas. I don't remember all the shapes or the organs, sorry. Biology was good when I had it, but I don't remember all of it. And then I think this is the stomach and the small or the large intestine, sorry. And this is dealing with the 10 of metal, which also makes me think of is something family, makes me think it's something that you're predisposed to, is something genetic that you are dealing with health-wise that you have yet to conquer or to deal with. And then I also had the 10 of wood, which deals with your pancreas and your, what is that? Is that the gallbladder health? So the 10 of wood, so it is definitely something health-wise that you are not paying attention to. And then lastly, you got the ear, the lovers, which this made me think like this is definitely somebody that you are either in a romantic relationship with, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, whatever you want to call them, or it is somebody that is, I think whoever this person is, they really do have your ear, but I think you also have their ear as well. I think you need to just start having those boundaries with them of kind of like, I cannot do this, I cannot participate in this, or we need to start figuring out a way to dig ourselves out this hole that we put ourselves into. Because yes, I'm also a accessory in this situation as well, because when I should have been telling you no, I was being a yes man or whatever the case may be. And so that is the overall theme that I'm getting for you all in the month of January. Definitely something very heavy to start the year off with. So good luck to you and kind of like getting this together and dealing with this. I do hope you find your footing and knowing how to get out of this situation or how to deal with this situation if it blows up in your face. I do hope you find or create the peace that you need in your life. Because you definitely did create a web of your own making. You got caught in a web of your own making, I think. Whether you were the actual spider or just kind of like one of the wefts of the webs, you know, that got woven into it, and now you're a part of the bigger picture, the catch, so to speak. So yeah, I definitely hope you find your footing. I hope you find your peace. I hope you find the strength to step forward and deal with this and handle this, because I think if you don't, it's going to be more than just you're having anxiety about it, or, you know, not being able to stomach it, or, you know, further, or you're going to, you know, be buried in it even deeper and you're not going to get out of it because it's going to be too late. All right, my power tools, welcome back. I am going to start yours from scratchy scratch and we're going to find out. So what I'm going to do is the same thing I did for power one. We're going to go into what is the overall theme for the month of January for you, what is going to be the overall problem in the month of January, and then what is going to be the solution. And so I'm just going to shuffle these cards really quick with the intentions of what my lapislazuli, my pile twos. Ooh, that was a fast shuffle. Let's try that again. What does my lapislazuli, my pile twos need to know for the month of January? What does my lapislazuli, my pile twos need to know for the month of January? What does my pile twos, my lapislazuli need to know for the month of January? These cards are always so big and it's always so weird to shuffle them. Okay, what is the overall theme for my lapislazuli for the month of January? What is the overall theme for my lapislazuli for the month of January? What is the overall theme for how to my lapislazuli? Okay, Two of Swords, some tough decisions coming up. Maybe something you're ignoring. What is going to be the problem? The lapislazuli, my power twos for the month of January. What is going to be the problem? Ooh, hold on, cut. So I am going to read these out to note. I like to note the cards that do fall out because sometimes it clues you in on what's going to come up, or just in case if they come out again. So you got the Queen of Wands, the Four of Cups in reverse, the Four of this, the Four of Wands in reverse, the Hierophant, and the Seven of Wands. But let's try this again. For the lapislazuli, my power twos, For the month of January, what is the overall pile that, what is the overall pile that my pile to the lapislazuli will be dealing with? Oh. Okay, and then we have, oh, I'm just dropping stuff. And then we have the 9. Okay, and then we have the 9 of Swords, which is kind of like, I think of like mental anxiety. You have a lot of swords here. There's a lot of toughness, a lot of hard decisions being made, a lot of mental restrictions I see that's coming through here. And what is the solution for my lapislazuli's problem for the month of January? What is the solution to the overall problem that my lapislazuli's be facing for the month of January? The solution on how to solve the problems the lapislazuli will be facing for the month of January. Month of January. Can we get up? And then we have the Prince of Discs. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna need more information on this. Let's resonate this to the power to the lapislazuli. What is their month of January look like? What is their look? Look like the month of January. Can I get more clarity on why this 2 of Swords is here? For the overall theme for the month of January for my lapislazuli. Can I get more clarity on why this 2 of Swords is here for the month of January for the lapislazuli? What does this 2 of Swords mean for my lapislazuli? Their theme for the month of January. Okay. So you got the World card, and then you have the 7 of Coins. There's definitely some financial struggles here. And I say this even as on the 2 of Swords, if you notice, she's like, the figure is balancing itself on this little piece of earth, on this materialistic, is worldly possession, so to speak. It's usually what I think of when I see earth. I think of like materialistic, earthly possession. And then you have the 7 of Coins here. The story with this one is also a mischievous guy who did kind of like that duality, that split. You still have the duality here with the 2 of Swords. You have duality in the World card. Someone who is in need of your foundation. I think you're probably going to struggle with some security issues. Security issues is kind of like what I think of. I don't know if you're dealing with like a divorce or a breakup, some kind of separation, some kind of dividends that you need to break up between people. Like maybe you were married, or you know, you gotta, who's gonna get the house and who's gonna get the kids? How are we gonna split time with the kids? How are we gonna okay, so my camera battery died last time. It shuttered out. What I was saying is that this definitely speaks to like some kind of foundation that you really count on, that has meant a lot to you, that has helped you build your worldly possessions, your earthly possessions. It's kind of being like repossessed from you, or that you're having to choose between one or the other. There's some duality. There is some give or take that is going to happen here. There's going to be some hard choices that you are avoiding making, if this 9 of Swords is anything to hint. This Prince of Discs, yeah, and with him like kind of leaving, it makes me think oh, throat chakra. So definitely it's probably something hard to talk about as well. There's some kind of separation here. But I did notice that another Tarot of the Divine fell on the floor, and what do you know? It is the 2 of Swords. So yeah, there's definitely some tough decisions that you are going to have to make for the month of January. There are some tough sacrifices. Let's see what was the underlying energy here. Judgment. Why it's gotta be this deep? Jeez. Okay. Why, can I get more clarity on why this Nine of Swords is here? It's so much that wants to come out for you all, pile too. So far I had, okay, these are the cards that wanted to jump out. It's the Page of Cups, the Ace of Swords, the Nine of Coins, the Six of Wands, Seven of Wands. You have the Six of Cups, you have the Tower, you have the Eight of Cups, you have the Seven of Swords. And then you also have the Six of Swords. What I heard was a lot of swords. I heard a lot of mental depletion. I heard a lot of fakeness, a lot of emotional work, a great storm coming, or some kind of fall, some kind of work, and a tough beginning. But I'm just reading those out because sometimes when the cards fall out like that, it gives a hint to what needs to be said, or like some other underlying occurring energies that you probably need to be mindful of, that you need to deal with or you aren't dealing with, especially when it comes to like mental, I think of this as like mental anxiety of almost kind of like a being stagnant to your own detriment, you know, in your own detriment, against your better judgment. But yes. So can I get more clarity on why this Nine of Swords is here for my lapislazuli, my proud schools? What is the problem? What is the overall problem? Can I get one more card? As you see, one flew out. Can I get one more card on why my lapislazuli are dealing with anxiety? Why are they dealing with this tension, this headache? Why is this their big problem for the month of January? Why is this their big issue for the month? Okay, so we have our two cards. And what do you know? The Six of Swords come out again. So there is definitely some separation. Now remember, I read the Tower and the Six of Swords in the last one, and they pop back out. So these are the big overall energies for you. You are coming up to, and mind you, all of these are upright. And look what's on the bottom, the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups always makes me think, again, I usually think of like relationships with this one. Six of Cups reminds me of like, you are remembering all of the good times that you had with this person, or all the good that they did you, but you're also ignoring, like, I don't know if you can see that here. It's the mountain in the background. There were a lot of obstacles. There were a lot of tough things that you had to deal with in order to get to this space where you're comfortable. There's a lot of, kind of, what do you call it? There's a lot of like, I let certain things slide, or to get to this point, because I was looking at the bigger picture. I was focused on the bigger picture, that I also didn't realize that along the way, that along this process, I was losing pieces of myself back there. I was giving much more than I was willing to give, and now I'm feeling empty. I'm not feeling whole anymore. The Six of Cups kind of makes me think of like rose-colored glasses. You're looking at what could be, what was, what is. No, what could be and what was, and not what it is right now. You're still trying to, oh, you remember that time when we were young and you bought me those flowers? And it's like, okay, but you don't buy me flowers now, and now we got a problem. So that's kind of like what I think of with this, the Six of Cups here. But it also, you have the Six of Swords. So again, I think there is some separation here. That it really, to me, it reads like a divorce. And I don't know if it's a divorce from like a business venture, a business partner that was everything for you. Maybe you are a husband and wife, or, you know, a coupling that also work in business together, and this is like really horrible for you to be dealing with this. This really speaks to me like they're, and it makes me feel like you've seen it coming for a long time. Like both of you haven't been emotionally invested in this relationship for a long time. You already kind of like were separated emotionally anyway. You were kind of like just going through the motions of things, or because, you know, again, like we're sticking this out good or bad, thick or thin, because, you know, now we're looked to as a certain thing, like it's a status symbol. We're being viewed a certain way, and I can't have people knowing that we broke up or this is the reason, or, and I don't even think it's something as bad. I'm hoping not. I hope it's not something as bad as like, you know, when someone, you know, infidelity in a relationship, or some kind of lying and scheming of hiding finances and resources, or of like, you know, someone trying to paint you out to be worse than what you are because they're trying to move on or do something else, because they've kind of, rightfully so, in all relationships, you know, you kind of change your perspective or what you want out of things. You kind of change your wants and needs and what you're okay with, but you also did it at the cost and to the detriment of someone else's comfort, or at the cost of someone else being hurt, instead of like having that communication, that progress, that work towards where it could, you know, be amicable. This doesn't seem amicable almost. And again, this Prince of Discs is leaving. Yeah, I did read the underlying energy. Okay. Why is this Prince of Discs here as a solution for the lapislazuli's problem for the month of January? And this was upright too, so I feel like this is some cross energy. So both of these came out in reverse. You have death. Death usually to me when it's in reverse like that speaks to endings or necessary endings. Some severe roadblock. And then you also have the Eight of Swords. So I don't remember the exact story for this one, but I do remember it was a girl who, I think she was a princess, and that's why it shows a castle in the background. In order to save her life, she disguised herself as a donkey or something like that. But now she's gotten used to wearing that disguise, so she doesn't see herself as anything else, but people don't see her as anything else. But it kind of gives me like sheep's and wolf clothing kind of energy. But in this case, it's like, no, this is this is a wolf inside sheep's clothing. You are stronger than you give yourself credit for, but you are purposely handicapping, hindering yourself, because you want to stay confined in this world that you're in, and you shouldn't be, because it's not doing any good for anybody, especially you. Let's see here. What was the underlying energy? Again, Four of Wands. So yeah, this speaks to some kind of partnership for sure. I don't know if it really reads romantic, but it could be business as well. Sometimes when you have relationships that are that close, that are that intricate, that they're strong, sometimes the business and romantic relationships read the same to me. They, you know, feel the same to me. So this is definitely something really close for you for sure. Okay, and we're just going to use the Wild Mystics as we get more clarity on this for the lapislazuli for the month of January. Okay. I feel like somebody's hand is in my pocket. I really feel like somebody's hand is in my pocket. And lo and behold, this is also something that Pile 1 got. Rest. But also when I see the bear, it makes me think of like protective. It makes me think of like protective or overprotective, motherly, mother bear energy as well. So yeah, it kind of gives me that vibe. Let's see, what is, get more clarity on what the top. Get more clarity on what this top. Tower in reverse is what the issue. Whatever is there we go. But you're probably trying to flip over. Okay. And then we have trust. So when I see this, it makes me think of one or two things. Either there's a lot of distrust in this relationship now because of things that were done or said, or inklings that you've been having that are probably going to later come out to be confirmed, or, you know, on the technicality, like you were right to, you know, have that distrust of that person. Or this is, you know, trust in yourself, know that this isn't working for you anymore, and step out, leave. Like, this isn't good for you guys. Can I get more clarity on why the death card is a solution? But the lapislazuli January. Death card is here as a solution for the how-tos. As a solution for my how-tos. Clarity. As a solution for lapislazuli. Oh. Okay. Oh yeah, this is a romantic relationship for sure. You got love here. I thought something else flipped over, so I'm just checking to see. No, okay. And the underlying energy, memory. And remember on that last one, but it's a memory in reverse. So maybe you are remembering, or they're remembering something different than you are, because you had the Six of Cups on the last one for, what was it, for the problem? I think, yeah, it just really makes me think of, like, you are holding on to a certain memory that makes this person look good, or that makes you both look good, and because of that, you have forgiven them for anything else they possibly could be doing wrong to you right now, or that is bad right now in the relationship. And it's like, but no, you need to pay attention to what they're doing and how they're doing it and what they're saying and how they're moving. And again, I had that feeling of like something being in my pocket earlier. It makes me think like somebody has been sneaking off coins or using some kind of money that you were saving up to do something glamorous with. I don't know if it could have been like an anniversary trip or something like that, building on a house, I don't know, sending kids to school, and they're using it instead to hang out with their plaything, or, you know, they're using it for some kind of portfolio opportunity, and it's gonna rip the rug right from underneath you. Maybe they have a gambling addiction or something. I don't know where that came from, but maybe they have like a gambling addiction or something like that, and you're just like, well, I love them, I'm blind to it all, I'm just gonna do what I want to do. Like, we're in this relationship, I said the sickness and health, and I took those vows seriously, but that person isn't taking their vows seriously. Like, are you sure it would be the same if you were in their predicament? They probably would have left you a long time ago. What is this wall here for love? Okay, ooh, right on top. The High Priestess. This just makes me think things aren't what you are making them out to be, what they seem to be. You, again, going back to this memory card, it was in reverse for you. Things are not as they appear. Things are not as you think they are in this relationship. And again, that's probably where this, you know, the rug being pulled from underneath you is coming in from. I do think there's a child involved in this situation as well. I don't know if you're like, somebody is recently pregnant, or, you know, you already have little ones in the mix as it is. But yeah, it makes me think like, it almost kind of gives you like housewife kind of thing. and you aren't being aware of everything that's going on. Everything isn't as this person told you or perceived it to be. Yeah, it gives me like house husband, housewife kind of thing, where you kind of like, not lackadaisical, but I guess that's kind of like the word, lackadaisical, or like you don't really care about keeping up with all of that because you wholly trust your partner when you shouldn't, and you're being misled. Things aren't what they appear to be. That's essentially what it's giving me. And then also for the High Priestess, you have the Two of Wands. Again, that speaks to duality. There's a lot of duality here. So I think someone is appearing or coming off as something that they're not. And until you see it for what it is, both the good and the bad of it all, I think you're going to constantly struggle with like how to move forward, for sure. Trust your intuition. What I'm getting from this is that you definitely know something is awry, something is not adding up here, and you need to start asking those questions or start putting things up or to the side for a rainy day, because it doesn't look like this doesn't seem like it's going to come in quickly, but it definitely can, time will pass before we know it, and then all of a sudden it's like you're dealing with all of the issues and the problems right there in front of you. So yeah, Pile 2s, I wish you the best. I hope you peel back those blinders, you open those eyes, you take off those rose-colored glasses, and you see things for what they are. Start asking those questions, start preparing yourself, and make sure that you are ready for this fallout that's about to come in this romantic relationship that you have with this person, and take charge. Yeah, so that's all I'm getting for you, Pile 2, for the month of January. Again, wishing you the best, and I'm gonna move on to Pile 3. Hello, my Pile 3s. I am just setting a timer because I have been having an issue with my camera cutting off ahead of time. I don't know if you've probably seen Pile 1s, but Pile 1s would know if they're seeing this Pile 3. If you resonate with more piles, I've been constantly having an issue with it cutting off. So I'm just setting a timer to make sure that I am getting this footage in time. So of course I'm kind of like speeding through these as well because I want to make sure I get the information across. So my Pile 3s who chose the Obsidian, I am going to do as I did with both Pile 1 and Pile 2. For the lapislazuli and the RoseQuartz, I'm going to go over the overall theme for the month of January, what is going to be the problem that you are going to be facing for the month of January, and then what is going to be the solution for your problem for the month of January. Okay. I know some of you are probably peeking at the bottom of the pile to see what the underlying energy is. So this time I'm going to do it down. So I'm just going to shuffle it. What is the overall theme for my Obsidians for the month of January? What is the overall theme for my Obsidians? And this keeps happening to me today. So again, like I've done with previous piles, I like to read what falls out because sometimes it lets me know if the same card comes out again, or it could be like other factors that's kind of like interfering with the reading, essentially. So you have the Six of Swords, Seven of Swords in reverse, the Tower, you have the Sun in reverse, you have the Hermit in reverse, and then you have the Chariot. So this is going to be yet another heavy topic. Okay. What is the overall theme that my Obsidians will be dealing with for the month of January? What is the overall theme that my Obsidians will be dealing with in the month of January? And it break out again. I don't know why this keeps happening. Again, underlying energies, the Prince of Swords in reverse, the Seven of Cups, the Four of Discs in reverse, the Seven of Discs in reverse, the Eight of Cups, Five of Discs, and the King of Cups in reverse. To me, this reads like some Pisces energy, like you're living in La La Land. Okay, what is the overall theme for the month of January that my Obsidians will be dealing with? What is the overall theme for the month of January that the Obsidians will be dealing with? What is the overall theme that the Obsidians will be dealing with for the month of January? What is the overall theme that the Obsidians will be dealing with for the month of January? Okay. And because these all landed on the table, I'm going to take all of these. Unfortunately, all of them are in reverse. The devil has been all up and through here, and I don't know if it's because it's dealing with Capricorn season. You know, this is their card, them Capricorns. And then you have the Four of Swords in reverse. You have the World in reverse. You have the Four of Cups in reverse, and then you also have the King of Wands. So this makes me think this is stemming from a person. What is the underlying energy? You also have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. To me, this kind of reads like you just have some karma that you have to pay for in the month of January. What is the problem? What is the overall problem that the Obsidians will be facing in the month of January? What is the overall problem that the Obsidians will be facing? Ooh. Okay, and so I have the Ten of Cups in the upright. So far I'm getting daddy issues, but let's see. What is the solution to the Obsidian's problem for the month of January? What is the solution to the Obsidian's problems for the month of January? What is the solution? Okay. And oddly enough, you're the only pile that's getting like multiples for your pools here. So you have the Five of Swords, and then you have the High Priestess in reverse. Yeah, let me get more clarity on this. This kind of reads like it's all over Facebook. Here's the overall theme for the month of January. And here's the overall energy for the month of January for my Obsidians. Here's the Obsidian's overall energy for the month of January. And we get what is the theme for the month of January for my Obsidians. And their overall theme of what the Obsidians will be dealing with in the month of January. Feeling left out in the cold. Feeling left out in the cold. And then you have, what was that again? Yep, the Four of Cups. And you have the King of Wands and the Devil. I don't know if this issue, the overall problem that you'll be facing for the month of January, if it stems from a person in particular, but it makes me think like it's somebody that's a dominant figure in your life. I want to say it's something health-wise. I don't know why I want to say I feel like it's something health-wise, but yeah, for some reason I don't know. I'm getting mixed up on this. I don't know if it's from you that's feeling isolated or the person that you're dealing with is feeling isolated by you. And I find it funny here that you do have a lot of flames kind of like running through this. So you know the World card embodies all of the elements. And then you have the Devil here with their, you know, even though it's dealing with Capricorn, it has fire in it. You have the flames in this one. You also have the young lady holding the flames outside of the church. Are you refusing to ask for help about something? Or is this person afraid to approach you? Why is this Ten of Cups here as a problem for the Obsidian for the month of January? Why is this Ten of Cups here as the problem for the Obsidian for the month of January? Why is this Ten of Cups here? Okay. Funny enough, we have the Fool. Have the Fool with the Ten of Cups. This is, and that's probably why I'm picking up on too much stuff. This feels like it's a familial, a family dispute of some sort, or disagreement or arguments that's going on here, and somebody is feeling isolated, or you know, there's some casualties of war essentially going on in this. And then you also do have the Five of Swords. So to me, that speaks to a lot of like, yeah, there's some inner conflict, some inner struggle that's going on, internal. And I don't know if, when I say internal, I don't mean just like you as a person. I mean internal struggle as in with like the entire family. There's some, it almost feels like, you know, a family squabble over who gets dad's house, who's supposed to have dad money, who is supposed to be the what they call it, is it kind of like the executor of dad's, who's supposed to be making like the medical rights of attorney or something like that. I forget what it is. But basically you are the person that's calling the shots on how to deal with this person's health. And funny enough, I do have the Eight of Swords in reverse on the bottom here. Something not coming off as it is perceived, or how they want to perceive, how they want to be perceived. Can I get more clarity on why the High Priestess in reverse is the solution for the Obsidians? Can I get more clarity on why the High Priestess in reverse is the solution for the Obsidians? Can I get more clarity on why the High Priestess is the solution for my Obsidian? Why is the High Priestess the solution for the month of January for my Obsidians? Five of Cups. And notice how the Five of Cups and the High Priestess usually all deal with some kind of form of emotion, intuition, and then you also have the Moon here. So I'm wondering, is this something I'm not supposed to see, or something you are not going to see coming, you probably aren't even aware of? I think there is definitely someone young in this situation that is kind of like crying out for help or in need of help, and nobody is kind of like seeing it or helping them or reaching out because they're too busy focused on like fighting, squabbling, of like getting back at each other kind of thing. Again, yeah, this definitely makes me think there's some casualties of this war, so to speak. I think there's a lot of people involved in this, and that's why it's so hard. Can I get more clarity? What the overall energies are for the month of January for those who chose the Obsidian? Can I get more clarity on energies for the month of January for my Obsidians? And I'm going to take this for what it is, that before I can even really start shuffling, I have the Heal card and I have Kindness. again, I don't know if you're the person that's just like drawing a line, but you know how boundaries are typically a good thing. I think you're somebody, you have erected boundaries. Good, kudos to you, because that's very hard. As somebody who is very bad with boundaries, I tip my hat off to you. I think you are good with your boundaries, but I think you have erected these boundaries so thick, so high, that it has essentially cut you off from other people. I think you dead inside is kind of like, not dead inside in a sense of like, I think you have really cut off from like your emotions. I think you're cut off from the emotional islands of those around you. I think you're probably bad at reading social cues. I don't think you realize when you have said something harsh, you're probably saying it just like because it's, you know, it could all be truthful, but you know, the truth hurts. And I think you don't know when it's a time and place to say or do certain things, and it's kind of isolated you. It's put you off to the side. It's made things more difficult for you than it needed to be if you just had some kind of some text about the way you say and do things. And I think also the reason why you're so blunt like that, it probably could come from some past trauma that you have dealt with as well. Like maybe you've had people in your life who kind of spoken or treated you in that manner, and you've kind of like developed tough skin from it. It was essentially like a dual-edged sword for you. You learned how to erect boundaries. You know how to, you know, there's a time and a place for connecting with people. But I think now you're taking it to the extreme where it's kind of like, okay, now you made yourself, you're a man on the island, and you have made it hard for anybody to kind of like get to your island. How can I climb aboard, sir, when you have all these jagged rocks and whirlpools around this island? How am I supposed to get on here? And then not to mention, once I get on the island, now I gotta go across the moat of deadly alligators and freaking quicksand and booby traps and stuff. So I think there's a relationship or a foundation here that you were in the process of building, or that you need to build, but you have kind of made it hard. And it really makes me think it's probably with somebody who is younger, that's kind of like trying to follow your tutelage, that you're kind of like bringing up. And that could be child, that could be younger sister, younger brother, a younger cousin, niece, nephew, whoever. I think it's somebody you're supposed to be bringing up behind you, and you kind of made it hard for them to live, to breathe, or feel comfortable around you, because you have a certain expectation of them that they can't live up to, or it makes it hard for them to live up to. Can I get more clarity on why the Fool card is here as the problem for my Obsidian for the month of January? Can I get more clarity on why the Fool card is here for my Obsidian issues for the month of January? Can I get more clarity on why the Fool card is here for my Obsidian? Energy. Something is taking a lot of energy. I want to see if something else flipped over, because I thought I heard click, click, like something flipped, but probably not. What is the underlying energy? Balance. Ooh. There is some balancing act that's going on here. Sun and moon, or sun and stars. You have, I think of the elk, I think of them as such like strong and elegant creatures, but they're also, you know, have a very caring nature. I think when I think of frogs or toads even, most of the time we think of them as like being innocent, but they can be very dangerous. You know, they can be some of the most poisonous organisms in the world. They also are good for people. I don't know if anybody else heard this story. I know something going on here where people were like licking frogs to get a high because of something on their skin caused you to like hallucinate. So yeah, they, you know, and they also have medicinal purposes. So I think there's some balance here. Libra energy. I think you are somebody that's too busy being in the air that you are being grounded on the here and now and in your emotions. Like you probably couldn't even process or tell anyone what you're feeling or what you're doing right now, because you are fully in your body. I really feel like I should leave this out. I think I should leave that out. And then up underneath that, you also do have defend. I don't know if you can see that. And then confidence. So yeah, I think this is a barrier or a boundary you have erected for your own protection, but now it's hindering you. It's some kind of line you have drawn with people, with your family, with the world at large. Okay, what is this? It kind of reads to me like it kind of reads to me like a tumultuous father and son relationship, kind of like, you know, the cold, stone-hearted dad that's kind of like, I don't need another little girl. If I wanted a girl, I would have had one. You need to be a man. Like, stop crying. So it kind of gives me like toxic father-son relationship. Like, I need you to be this way. Stop crying. I need you to take care of people. You know, a real man does this. A real man doesn't do that kind of thing. It kind of reads like a toxic father-son relationship to me, oddly enough. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. And why is this Five of Cups here? Okay. Why does High Priestess here? It's a solution. Ooh, let's see what I got, because this flipped over face down. Let's see what I get. Disguise. I'm going to tell you what this reads to me. And this is probably why the energies are like all over the freaking place. And then we also have mystery in reverse. And then we got care and courage. These are the bottom three underneath, like underlying energies. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what this feels like to me. What this reads to me as. This reads to me as somebody who is living a double life. This reads to me as someone, like when you hear stories of people who are gay and they finally like, I can come out of my shell, I can be who I am, I can say what I want now, finally I can breathe. But for the longest, you know, I lived my life being, you know, living and doing for others to come off a certain way, and I was dying on the inside, and now I finally can come out and nobody's gonna shove me back in that closet. Like, not even myself. I'm not going back in that closet. Or you hear about people who are transgender that's kind of like, you know, I'm in a body that I do not fully feel connected to, or I do not fully feel in sync with, entrenched in. Like, people are telling me that I am this, but I really feel like I'm that. And this kind of reads to me like that. Like, you are someone that's dealing with a lot of like, and that's understandable why I'm kind of picking up on like the toxic masculinity, or like the patriarchal kind of struggle here. Because there is, so you have the High Priestess here. That's like strong feminine energy. But then you also have the King of Wands, and that is some fiery, like toxic masculinity kind of like energy, especially with it being in reverse. To me, it reads like you are, yeah, you're balancing this act of like this, and it could be bad on both sides because you have toxic femininity as well. It seems like because you have been introduced into this lifestyle, into this way where you kind of like, you have started to hate yourself even. You are exhibiting the negative, the toxicity of both masculinity and femininity. And these energies are kind of like fighting and combating to kind of like break free. And you have not tapped into like balancing it in a positive way. You have not been kind to yourself or to others because you hate that you have to wear this disguise for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because of like family with this Ten of Cups. I don't know if it's because of you feel like you will be disowned from your family. This is probably why you're feeling like left out in the cold. You're feeling isolated because you don't think there is anyone around you who get it. I don't think you even truly have close friends or family like that. Maybe there is a certain individual in your life, and I feel like again it's somebody younger than you that is kind of like aware. They see it, they recognize it, but they can't quite put their finger on it, or they aren't saying anything because they understand why you're that way, and they understand why they understand why you're mean, or why you're closed off, or why you act a certain way you do, why you isolate. And I think you also recognize this person as well as being someone that you can sort of kind of be around. Because again, you haven't fully accepted yourself, so how can you expect them to? But I don't think you have fully come to grips with who you truly are. And until you do, I think this person is going to be a nice confidant. I think they're going to still be there. You're going to probably be pleasantly surprised that, oh, you know, this person always knew and was always there, and they realized and recognized what you were going through. They're just waiting for you to tell them, for you to kind of like go through that fight, that battle. And I think once you do, and once you come to grips with it, I think you'll find that it may not be the ally you would have expected or you wanted, but it's the ally that you need, essentially. So yeah, to me it reads like you're really in disguise here. And then, again, you got a lot of duality here. You have the disguise here, you have the two dolphins, you have the mystery of the cats, you have the devil kind of like duality. There's a lot of like a juggling act. The Gemini for the disguise, courage, care, stillness, sacred, adaptation, trust. Yeah, to me it seems like a lot of conformity, a lot of defensive mechanisms, a lot of lack of self-confidence, self-awareness, self-care that you have not been giving to yourself. And because you haven't been giving it to yourself, you are exacting that same energy and meanness on everyone else around you. Unfortunately, it's spilling out everywhere. If you don't mind me saying this, because to be completely honest, I think a lot of people are aware. I think you are also aware, but for whatever reason, you are trying to hide it, you're trying to bury it, you're trying to block it out. And I think everybody knows. I think it's time for you to kind of step into that. And again, I know this is easier in some situations than others, especially like you're in a country or even in a country where it's acceptable, you still deal with those people that's like, that is horrible that you're this way. As again, I'm picking up on like some kind of gay, bi, transgender energy here. Some kind of LGBTQIA energy here. I think it really sets you apart. I think people know because it just oozes out of your pores, whether you admit it or not. People like pick up on it. And again, I think because everybody is aware and you are trying to conform to whatever the cultural behaviors or systems or acceptance it is that's in your circle, you now don that as armor, and then now you're piercing people with it. It's something so mean now. And here's the thing, usually when you're like that and you're somebody who's a part of that kind of like I would say on the big picture, that cultural abnormality when you're part of a community like that, like the LGBTQIA community. I would say for me personally, if you're somebody who's like tapped in, you recognize that people who are like that are like that. And usually when they come off mean like that to you, you typically think it's because, at least for me, I typically think it's because of the repression that you have had to deal with, the armor you have had to wear in order to get through life, or that you're mean because you don't want to accept that that's what it is, because you're still hiding it or something. Or it could also be a thing of like, I think, is it jealousy? Is it sickness? Like, what is this? So I think you just need to come to grips with it. And yeah, I feel like you're not really truly living until you deal with that, whatever that disguise, that hiding that you're doing, those barriers that you put up. I think until you actually deal with that, I don't think you're ever going to be happy. You're not going to change anything around. And I think the person who would be the best ally, the ally that you need, you won't ever be able to reach out to them or touch them in any kind of way, because you're going to probably end up lashing out at them, and they're going to be a casualty of you loading the clip and spraying it on everybody trying to return the hurt that they've given you, and you're going to end up hitting innocent bystanders in the process. So that's kind of like what this is giving me. It's a lot of inner conflict, both, you know, inside yourself, interpersonally and intrapersonally. So yeah, that's what I'm getting for you, Power 3. Again, I hope you find the healing and balance that you need. I hope you start, you know, giving yourself the kindness that you will wish others would give you in return. You can't expect the change that you want to see from somebody else if you're not giving it yourself. So yeah, I hope that you find it. You know, I put that hope out there for you into the divine pool, and hope it finds you. And I hope that yeah, everything comes back as it should. Yeah, that's really the big energy that I'm picking up here. And if it's not, you know, somebody who is LGBTQIA, I think there's definitely something that you are pretending to be that you are not. And it has caused so much harm to people and to yourself. A lot of disgruntled feelings that's going on here, and you have to deal with it. You have to address it before it gets any worse for the month of January. So, you know, month of January is a good place to start, a place of new beginning. So start the year off right. And with that, I want to wish you all a happy new year again, and I will see you all in the next video.